What is the relationship between freedom and law? Does law inherently promote freedom or inhibit freedom? This short video will consider this integral relationship between freedom and law from a Catholic Christian perspective, beginning with the concept of law itself. So we want to look a bit here at a Thomistic understanding of law, going back to the 13th century saint and called the angelic doctrine in the Catholic tradition, Thomas Aquinas, thinking about how does law work. We want to consider together how law works. So first we have the concept of eternal law. This is God's way of being from and beyond eternity, a way of being that doesn't change. It's not one thing at one point in time and another thing another. God, metaphysically speaking, is pure act, and so the way of God's being is the same yesterday, today, and forever, as we say with the New Testament scripture. So eternal law is God's way of being, and we would describe this way of being as good, as just, as responsible, as loving. God who is love. This is the way of God's being. And so law in this sense means the pattern of being that is God. This constant pattern of being. Eternal law. So just as we experience in physics these laws of nature that seem to be universal and don't change theoretically, they're applicable the same given talking about apples to apples. A similar way when it comes to moral law, we're talking about absolute universal moral laws. And so eternal law is revealed to us human beings in two basic kinds of ways. The first, we say, is called natural law. The natural law is law that we can know through reason itself. Natural law is the very order of nature, what we can know through reason, and it's the field of philosophy, especially, that first of all deals with natural law, and theology will encompass this moral philosophy based in natural law. And another type of law comes from natural law, what we might call human law or civil law. Human law or civil law is based on natural law. So in a democratic political structure, when we vote, when we have legislation being passed, it's an appeal to common human reason, an appeal to natural law, to determining what is just and what is unjust. On the other hand, we have something called divine law, properly speaking. And divine law is based on divine revelation, God's revelation above and beyond what reason can know on its own, by itself, by its own capacities. So the stuff of the whole history of salvation, God's self-revelation to human beings throughout time, and the culmination of this revelation for Christian faith in the person Jesus of Nazareth. Divine law we can divide into two basic phases. The first, the time of the Old Testament and the Hebrew Scriptures, all of God's self-revelation through the prophets, through all the series of covenant relationships that have continued down to the present day. The Jewish people as the chosen people, so beginning with Judaism. And the second phase is the time of the New Testament with Jesus and the origin of Christianity. So for Christian understanding, divine law moves through this whole narrative of salvation history. And altogether, morality, the concept of law, is rooted in eternal law, but is made known to us creatures through both natural law and divine law and the harmonization of these altogether. So our human laws will be just to the degree that they adhere to natural law, which is a given, rooted in eternal law, and moreover, illuminated by divine law, uh, in this sense through the Judeo-Christian tradition. So this is our concepts. These are our concepts of um, law going back to eternal law and manifest in natural law and divine law.